Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad, and today we're going to review ZIVB against SVOL. This was a request that came in through one of the comments to review this high-yielding 27% ETF, best fund out there. This beats all these other funds. Let's dig into this. So what is this? This is a 100% VIX midterm index futures-based strategy, and I think it's interesting. I'll tell you how I would play it at the end. So let's go through what is it, and let's do some back testing. I don't need to read the whole description to you, but what you should know, this is the inverse of the S&P 500 VIX midterm futures index. And I want to make sure you understand the key word here is index, because this fund has only been around for a short period of time. But ladies and gentlemen, it's based off of an index. So what do they hold? Well, they have some cash sitting there, good amount of cash, $13 million. And then they hold a bunch of future contracts. Now, they're generating their revenue, just kind of like BITO, by rolling those future contracts. And when they roll those contracts and they make a profit, well, they don't want to pay the taxes on it. So what are they going to do? They're going to put it out onto the shareholders in distributions so you can pay the taxes on it. Nice strategy on their side. SVOL. I hold SVOL. So I'm interested in this fund. Can I get another 11% over top of SVOL and be as safe or have my feeling of safety that I do with SVOL? Well, as I look into this fund, SVOL has protective puts. They only sell 20 to 30% on the VIX. Then they put protective puts. So if the market decides to take a great big dive, they have protective puts to kind of help us out. So what did my testing demonstrate? Clearly, the purple line, the one at the bottom, that's SVOL. And it is just getting destroyed by this fund. What could ever go wrong? This is the best fund ever. Look at that. That green line goes up quickly. Note to self. They didn't pay a distribution for the first several months, and then they only paid a small distribution in December 2023. But Brad, this looks so good. It recovered. You can pull your 8%. And what could be so sarcastic about your voice, Brad? Because we hear sarcasm here. Well, I take a look at this and I see a big dip. And I see a dip in SVOL. That's that August 5th dip. So remember I said this was based off of an index? So if you go to their website, they actually have a link to the index. And you can go back and look at the index history yourself. Well, that dip came along and we saw a very big dip in the index. That's a very big dip, and then it recovered. Nice. What's wrong with that, Brad? Well, let's take a little farther look at this. So I reran the data starting in December instead of starting when the fund first started and did not give any distributions. So what did that tell us? Well, that starts to tell us a slightly different story. Now the fund isn't keeping NAV. You can see that dip again, and that dip becomes a lot more significant when you take a look scanning inwards. And, hey Brad, I can still pull off my 8% and be good. Well, here's that comment. Can you? Can you really? Let's take a farther look out at this index, because this index goes back to 2015. So there's some significant drops here that may change your mind about this fund. COVID happened. This fund would have got destroyed. You would have been crying at night. I know that feeling. 2018, you would have been crying at night when you look at those dips because these did not rebound. Remember, these are future contracts, and this is some key words that need to be described here. When I did my SVOL, I tried to do my best to describe these. So on future contracts, normally these are in contango or contango, meaning that it's an upward sloping to the future. If it's this way, we're golden because contango, remember the market is 85% of the time contango. We would be golden. These would be great funds. But wait a second, there's that 15% of backwardation, meaning that the current future contracts are worth more than the future contracts. When this occurs, and if it occurs for a long period of time and it comes time for them to roll their funds, this is going to cost you money and you will lose a significant portion of your money as demonstrated by the index. If the future contracts are written far enough out, this isn't an issue. But if you have a long period of time of high VIX and it becomes backwardation, then there's nothing you can do. You're just going to lose money. In conclusion, this is a hard fund to understand. If played correctly and you understand what's going on with the index, and you're willing to do the work of putting protective puts on with a portion of the distributions, and those puts may or may not be naked, and you have to know what that actually means to even think about that, because you don't want to own underlying, you want to put a naked put on. Well, you just increase the level of complexity of what this actually could be, especially if you're using naked puts. And I'm not going to get into what a naked put actually is, just to say that it could lead to more issues down the road if it becomes in the money and you actually have to close this out. But going forward, this could be right for somebody that knows what they're doing. You can put some naked puts on and is willing to take that risk and close out those puts. That's all up to you guys. But me personally, I'm going to just go ahead and let SVOL do that for me, because that's what I pay them to do. And they do a pretty good job. Until next time, God bless. In contango.